Hello, my name is Austin Belzer, and welcome back to the Austin B Media Podcast. But before we get into the podcast, I gotta tell you how you can support my work. The way I fund my work, whether it be a review of a movie I rent or paying for Zoom, my Patreon is the way you can help offset those costs. Patrons like MB Labula, Brian Scuttle, Joseph Davis of Sif Hop, Matthew Simpson of Blossom Friday, Tom Blackburn, and more all help to make episodes like this possible. So thank you to all you lovely patrons out there. Beyond financial support, you get some pretty sweet perks in exchange for that financial support. Whether you're into 24-hour early access to my reviews and this podcast, monthly surveys, giving direct feedback, commentaries, and just about everything in between, consider becoming a patron for as low as $1 a month at patreon.com/AustinBmedia. You can also save 16% off if you decide to subscribe annually. On top of that, if you're not ready to subscribe for whatever reason, you can get a 7-day free trial for every single tier I offer, even the more expensive ones. So with that, I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, my name is Austin Belzer, and welcome back to the Austin B Media Podcast. Today, I will be discussing the very first Disney animated film and the very first feature-length animated film in history, I think, which is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with my guest, Matthew Anzalone. And a little disclaimer before we start. We did not get the chance to watch the restoration version that recently came out on Tuesday because for whatever reason it was inaccessible. It feels like the only way to watch it is on the Blu-ray, which is weird. I didn't get any code or anything like that from Disney, and it doesn't come out on Disney Plus till I believe the 16th is when it happens. But with that said, welcome to the podcast, Matthew. Tell us what you've published recently and what you're working on.
First off, Austin, thank you so much for having me. He's actually appeared on my YouTube channel a few times.
Oh, phew.
A few, yeah. I have a YouTube channel. I cover like Golden Globes, Oscars. I'm actually covering Dance with the Stars this season. I just did my Motown night video. That was really fun to do.
I gotta be honest with you. I tried to watch the first episode. I had to just skip around. I can't do it this season. I can't. There's something off.
That's fine, but I recommend watching Tuesday's episodes, Disney 100 night.
Okay. The one
Or
that just
100
aired.
years. No, the one coming up.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I definitely recommend at least watching that one. But
Yeah, what
yeah,
was the one last year? Disney Plus night last
Disney
year?
Plus night because it was only on Disney Plus, but now since it's on both,
Yeah.
no Snow White, no Snow White on Disney. They have to fix that.
It's weird because we're talking about the restoration's only happening on the 16th for Disney Plus, but like you have the HD version, so it's confusing the language with this restoration. It's yes, you can watch Snow White right now on Disney Plus, but I don't think it's the restoration at all.
I don't think
I think
so
it's the
either.
one. I think it's the one which we both watched, which was the signature collection version from 16. I want to say. Um,
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
but yeah, but before we get into talking about Snow White, a new thing I've started doing recently is giving people the chance to shout out something where somebody shouts out a movie, show, or anything before we get into the discussion.
I like to shout out the spin-off series of The Boys, Gen Z. If you haven't checked it out, you
Gen
need
V.
to. Gen V, thank you. But definitely check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, what episode? Are we on 5? Episode 5
Yeah, we're
this
in
week?
5.
Yeah, of I believe. Nope, it's not. I don't think there are 8 episodes. I think there are 10 for this.
It's yeah.
But yeah, Gen V is actually a really good show in a different way from The Boys, because I think it's trying to be a different show. Obviously it's a spinoff, but I don't know. There's just something different about it, and I caught something. I didn't catch something. I was watching an Easter eggs video, and apparently, I guess spoilers for The Boys season 3 if you haven't watched it. But if you're not watching Gen V, if you're watching Gen V, you've probably watched The Boys season 3. Somebody pointed out that when Huey goes to Red River, the adoption
Yeah.
agency place, somebody pointed out that you can see Marie on one of the screens,
Wow.
like her profile, yeah, like her profile picture and everything. And I thought that was interesting.
That's very interesting. But yeah, definitely check it out if you guys haven't already. It's a great TV show.
Yeah, and I really like that they did the 3 episodes all at once because I think if they did the one and then waited a week, then number two waited a week, I think
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't have taken off because with any spinoff, I think you're asking a lot of people who are fans of the other show you're spinning off from. So yeah, check it out on Amazon Prime Video. Or sorry, Amazon would like me to not use Amazon, and that it's just Prime Video now. I,
Yes, exactly.
I can't tell you how many times in screener emails, and this is a bit of inside baseball. They tell me don't use Amazon Prime Video, just Prime Video. I I don't know why, but anyways, with that said, go check out Gen V on Prime Video. And yeah, let's talk about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I feel like we've got a lot to talk about, especially in the latter half with some more recent news. Well, I don't know, maybe talk about the remake and how these kind of compare. But, anyways, so the first thing, this is the first time talking about a Disney animated film. And so I want to ask, what was your experience growing up with Disney animated films? Did you maybe start like I did with the 90s Disney Renaissance films like Beauty and the Beast, Hunchback of Notre Dame, stuff like that,
My
or something else?
Now, believe it or not, technically my first Disney film was actually Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then I worked backwards from there.
I would count that as a Disney animated film. It's more of a hybrid,
Yeah,
much in the vein of Happy Time Murders or something like that, or Chip and Dale, to use a Disney example.
yeah.
Um,
My parents stumbled on Who Framed Roger Rabbit by accident, and I was just mesmerized by the animation. And then I went back and watched like The Little Mermaid and Aladdin and The Lion King, and that's when I started to really get into Disney animated films. What was interesting about Snow White, though, is up until last year, I've actually never seen it before.
really? Okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting to me.
that's just the
Um,
one Disney movie that I kept missing.
What is that one for me? Probably a few Pixar movies in like the mid 2010s, like Good Dinosaur, and because a lot of people corrected me with on Elemental where I said it was Peter Sohn's directorial debut. Apparently, I forgot that he directed The Good Dinosaur. So
Good Dinosaur is a good movie.
so yeah, I need to check that out. And there's a few, but as for me, I'll say I went Disney Renaissance first because I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s with Lilo and Stitch and Aladdin. All I've seen all the Aladdins, by the way. Aladdin, King of Thieves, or Prince
Yeah,
of Thieves, King of Thieves,
I think it's Prince
Return
of
of
Thieves.
Jafar, Lion King 1.5, Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. I haven't seen what is the new one? They've got like a new Lion King series out. That's I forget what the
I
title is.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't.
Yeah, like Scar's son is in it and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But yeah, I dove deep in the mid aughts with Disney animation. So yeah, I did that, and then at some, I feel like Goofy movie,
I love the Goofy movie.
both of them. My favorite's probably Extremely Goofy movie. Um,
Same.
and gosh, what else have I? Oliver and Company, The Aristocats, Brave Little Toaster,
I
which I
love.
recently found out was at Sundance. It premiered at Sundance, which I think was like one of the rare moments where an animated film was part of the opening night selection. So that was interesting. Got to learn after my podcast with Thomas Stone Judge, the TIFF
Yeah,
podcast. But yeah, with that said, yeah, I think that covers all my Disney experiences outside of Pixar because I feel like
yeah.
we could go on and on about Pixar and stuff like that. And I don't feel like I really, I don't know, missed any Disney movies that I didn't want to see or something like that. But yeah, I saw Snow White when I was a little kid. Those, you remember in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, when they came out with those clamshell VHS tapes of
Yeah, I know
Disney?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I had a stack of them, and we had Little Mermaid, Toy Story 2, and all those like clamshell VHS tapes from Disney. I think I just speed ran them. When I wasn't watching Toy Story, I was watching one of the other Disney movies, or Nick, the orange VHS tapes.
Yeah,
Uh,
I definitely remember those.
but yeah, I guess that covers my second question: is remembering the first time you saw that because I guess it's really recent that you saw
Yeah,
it.
it was last year. My girlfriend Gabby loves Disney princess movies, like loves them. And she's, I can't believe you haven't seen Snow White. So I'm like, all right, I'm watching it. I'm not missing it again. I'm watching it. It was really good, but it was interesting to watch it like last year. Like it was interesting to watch it last year, and it's interesting to watch the great grandmother of all the Disney princess movies. Like, like no matter what happens going forward with Disney, Snow White will always be the first.
Yeah, it had this, and I guess I probably have seen Snow White about the same amount of times as I've seen a Marvel movie because my school would have like my elementary school would have like movie days or stuff during map testing. And for those who don't know, it's what that is. It's standardized testing that happens every year. I think everyone around the US, it might be called something different in different states, but yeah, I had a girlfriend like that. We had a list of homework. I think one of the first times I saw, actually the only time I saw Night of the Hunter was because of that homework assignment, is what we'd call it. We had a Google Doc of here's my movies that I think really need to watch, and here's her movies that she thinks I need to watch. But yeah, I think it'll always, like you say, live in that pantheon of just untouchable movies
Exactly.
because like Beauty and the Beast, where I didn't necessarily like the 2017 remake, but it wasn't like it didn't harm my opinion of the 90s one, if that
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
sense.
No, it does.
Uh, unlike Jungle Book, but
That's another conversation.
yeah, that's another conversation. We'll get to that when we start actually talking about the remake and stuff like that, because I do think that is a pertinent question of like how many people will be watching the Rachel Zegler remake that won't have. I don't think they said. I don't think they'll be the Seven Dwarfs in that one.
They certainly don't look like it. They show a picture of the Seven Dwarfs, and the clothing doesn't even scream from the Snow White movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's not even given the Snow White vibe.
and to be clear, the reason I'm not really a fan of it is not because of the actress or anything like that or any other kind of politics. It's just like, I, why remake something if you're gonna change the entire thing and
It's
essentially make a new story?
like Mulan.
I didn't.
Because
If it goes that route, I wouldn't be mad at it.
I saw the
Um,
line remake Mulan, and yes, it was good, but it didn't feel like Mulan. It just
I
felt
will
like
give you
another.
that. I will
And
give
I
you that.
think that could be the same case with Snow White. Yes, it's going to be good, but is it going to feel like Snow White? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, I definitely think so. But yeah, but I'm looking forward to Songbirds and Snakes whenever that comes out. Anyways, so I guess let's get into kind of overall thoughts on Snow White real quick. I would love to hear from you because you watched it more recently than I have. Um, yeah, just what your thoughts are on the film. What did you like, dislike, especially watching it for the first time so recently?
I didn't realize like how many movies took elements of Snow White and put in their movies. The whole villain chasing the hero, and I didn't realize that so many elements from other movies were from Snow White. So that was interesting looking back and realize, oh, that was from I remember that from that movie. That's where they got it from. Overall, I
Sure.
really did enjoy it. I actually prefer this to more of the modern princesses and like this and the original Cinderella is probably up there in terms of my favorite Disney princess movies.
Same.
But and it was impressive that the animation obviously I know the animations was restored a little bit, but I was impressed that the animation still held up, being from 1937. The character designs and all that. That was the part that was by far the most impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember when I watched it recently. Yeah, it's just the for something you'd think there'd be like film damage or something like that, and I don't know, it just feels like this untouchable movie in many respects. And not in terms of the restoration, it's just S tier to use the internet term.
Yeah, I
Um,
know it's
where I think everything was clicking on all cylinders. And what I think was interesting while I was researching this was that Disney actually didn't distribute this movie.
no, they didn't.
It was RKO Radio Pictures, which, um, for those who don't know at the time, I think they were a music label at the time, weren't they?
I believe so. But the
Or
biggest
like,
thing
yeah,
about RKO, yeah, RKO Radio Pictures. That's the exact term.
yeah, but yeah, I think they released a few others, but I thought that was interesting. But other than that, yeah, I just think it's really impressive for something so old to really still stand up.
Yeah,
And you talk about realizing that elements of Snow White were put into other movies. So I want to ask, what other things, what elements are you talking about? The Maleficent movies, or
yeah. The obviously the Maleficent movie. That's probably the most obvious picture from Snow White, but also Enchanted was the big one I noticed.
oh,
Enchanted isn't Snow White, but yet it had so many Snow White elements. The evil queen, the singing, the even the talk, even the animals. I did at the time. I didn't realize that that's pretty much Snow White, just done
wait, so
completely differently.
I gotta ask. So you've seen Shrek, right?
Yes, I have, and of course
So
Shrek. I was literally about to get to that. Yeah,
okay, so did that click for you when you watched this? Like
yeah,
all the Snow White references in there?
yeah. I'm like, wow, that's where it finally came from. Now I get it.
That is wild to me. I'm sorry, that's just wild.
But to me, Enchanted was the
Yeah,
big. That's my favorite Disney movie of all time. Enchanted.
really. Okay, are we talking about all brands Disney or
All brands,
is-
all brands. That's
okay.
by far my favorite.
Okay, mine's probably one of the Toy Story movies somewhere around there.
Toy Story 3 is
Because
a very second.
I'm one of the people who I I wrote a whole article that's now lost to time because I accidentally hit delete on the post. But I wrote a whole article back when people were asking, "Is Toy Story 4 a necessary movie?" Because I actually thought I don't know. I liked that movie quite a fair bit. I think it in my ranking it ends up somewhere around Toy Story 2. So it's like probably like Toy Story 3, uh, Toy Story 4, and then Toy Story 2. But anyways, maybe I'll record a Toy Story podcast when Toy Story 5 comes out.
Yeah, I'll be
But
in for
yeah,
that.
did you ever watch the Huntsman movies?
Yeah, I knew that was Snow White, so that one,
Okay.
like, I saw the Huntsman movie, but I didn't see the actual Snow White film until
Okay.
last year. So I was aware of the story, but I didn't see the full movie until last year.
Got it, got it. Man, I'm so envious. I that's so cool because you know how there's like that thing of if you could erase one movie from your head and watch it again for the first time. I feel like that this is one of those.
I would agree with that.
Same with that in Hellboy or Shape of Water or oh gosh, what's the Birdman?
There's so many possibilities. But 3 and 4 would be interesting to rewatch for the first time.
I don't think I could handle rewatching Toy Story 3 again for the first time. I don't. But getting to that, we're so obviously there is. I think we're already talking about it. So there's being almost 100 years old, almost
Yeah, it's almost.
1937. Yeah,
It's
so
about
it'll
5 years
be
away from being 100.
so. I, I guess the first question, because this topic is brought up a lot online, how do you feel that this story has aged over those 95 years?
I feel like it aged very well for a 95-year-old movie to have so many references being used in other movies is extremely impressive, especially nowadays in our culture when everything's gone in a flash. It's impressive that this movie was able to held the test of time. I feel like it didn't age well. We're obviously going to talk about the remake soon, probably in this.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that a little more. But separate from that, I think it aged very well.
Yeah, I'm one of those where I'm like, where I think it gets into kind of my biggest problem with, I guess, updating something.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's aged pretty well. I get it. Because I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's something timeless to it, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because I think people can find themselves in the story, just like they could with the Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and things like that. That kind of self-insert kind of thing. Because, and it's interesting because I don't think you get to really know a lot about Snow White before everything happens, before
No,
the
you really
events of the
don't.
story. I think it's just like this. This is one of those. Again, I guess we're referencing Shrek here, the storybook opening up, and where you're jumping into the middle of the story, and here's what has to happen in order for this plot to be resolved. It's actually when you think about how an animated film is made nowadays, it's relatively simplistic. It's
Yeah,
we are at destination A, we need to get to destination B. How do we do that? Oh, here's how. And that's the plot is the how. Whereas with something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, it's okay. Here we need to get to A to B, but to get to B we have to go to C, then go to D, then go to E, then go to
yeah,
F, then
exactly.
G, I, and then back to B, and then oh we got to circle around to A because yeah, it's just it's nice to have to just have a clear A to B line, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. But yeah, I guess with that, we should probably talk about all the things that I don't know. We'll just talk about legacy of it. What's
because
your
there's a
impression of
lot.
its legacy?
I love its legacy. I love reading about it, especially the Oscars. Like in the 1939 Oscar, Walt Disney won an honorary Oscar for it, but they gave him one normal Oscar and seven miniature Oscars. I thought that was very cool to read about. And then they had Shirley Temple of all people present the award to him. I thought that was clever.
I forgot about that. But
Yeah, and I
yeah,
yeah, and being in one of the movies to be chosen in the Library of Congress, that was one of the first 25 movies to be preserved for it. That was really cool to read about.
yeah, and I think it's in the AFI 100 movies list.
It is.
Yeah, but yeah, and for those who don't know, maybe don't know what an honorary Oscar is, I don't want to say, I feel like I would get in trouble for saying this, but I feel like it's a kind of, hey, we forgot to give you this award, so here's a recognition award, things like that.
In this particular case, I would say yes. Because this
Uh,
was literally the year after it was eligible for the Oscars.
yeah,
This was, hey, we forgot to nominate your movie. Here's 8 Oscars. Are we good now?
yeah, just do that with Ryan Gosling. But here's your 8 Oscars for Barbie. No, but yeah, I think that part is especially funny to me now that Disney owns ABC, which produces the Oscars. But yeah, I feel like that's again. I think we're going back to that whole thing of being an untouchable or S tier movie, where I think if I meet somebody who says this is a bad movie, I think we're gonna have a conversation.
I
um,
would just walk away from them. I don't
because it's
trust you anymore. You're not my friend. Go away.
because maybe you could point out some things like the line drawings not being clean, but that's almost endearing in a sense where at this, I don't know if you know about this, but at this point, it's been proven throughout many of the films of this era, or at least in the 90s era, that they would take pencil drawings from animations from other movies and stick them onto other Disney movies, which I found fascinating.
Same.
There are animations from Bambi and Lion King and Jungle Book, and I think, oh, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Probably Robin Hood. There's
Yeah,
probably a few
Robin Hood.
others. But yeah, there's like a whole thing with that. There's like a whole YouTube video comparing the two. But but with all that messiness, I think there's something endearing to the the efficiency of it, of just saying, "Hey, here's what we're good at. Let's just do that." Especially when we go into the '90s, where it became animated movies became commercialized, where it's like, okay, you're all these Disney studios are making animated
Yeah.
movies, and correct me if I'm wrong, internet or Matt, if I'm wrong on this, but I feel like I want to say that this movie is what inspired Pixar to do animated movies. I want to say,
I don't know that for sure, but I wouldn't be
or like
surprised if
this
it.
era.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Yes, and yeah, you talk about references in other media, Shrek, both the Enchanted movies, and yeah, I just feel like I feel like we're talking in circles, but yeah, I love this movie. But yeah, gosh, what else could I say about this movie
I
that I
have
haven't said a
something.
million times? Yeah,
I
what's
have
up?
something. Snow White made so much money that Disney was able to use the profits to finance a new studio in Burbank.
That's hilarious.
And it's
Um,
still there to this day. And thanks to them, they were able to complete Pinocchio and Fantasia because of the money. It was able to begin production on Dumbo, Bambi, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan, thanks to Snow White.
it's crazy,
So Snow White basically saved Disney,
pretty much.
at least
And
back then.
yeah, back then. And I think what's interesting about this time period for Disney is that they're, I don't know, almost like an independent studio to me. Because again, they weren't distributing any of their movies, they were going through other people. But yeah,
They were basically like A24, like before
yeah,
they became their own studio, like A24 was part of other studios' movies, and now look at them. It's like the similar model almost.
yeah. Except for there was no Netflix, it was just RKO and MGM and stuff like that. But yeah, which is crazy to think about because today I was looking at possible Spirit Award nominees, like people I think would be nominated. And now Amazon, I forgot that Amazon merged with MGM, so now they have the
Yeah,
same FYC page, and it's not MGM FYC anymore.
I get
Anyways,
that.
yeah. But with that said, gosh, any other references you want to get to before we tackle the big thing of the remake?
I'm ready for the remake. I want to talk about the remake.
Okay. So I guess actually, before we do that, what would your rating be? I feel like I know what your rating would be for this, but
Out of 10, I would give it like a 9, 9.5. I
okay.
wouldn't call it a perfect 10, but it's still pretty up there.
I would say I use the 5-star scale, but I don't know. How do you feel about 5 stars versus 10-point scales?
It really depends on what you want. It depends how you want to do it, really. I like doing it out of 10. It's easier for me to process it. But
Yeah, that way you
if
don't
you
have to double up the number.
yeah, but if people want to do 5 stars, they can. There's nothing against it.
Yeah, so out of 5, and I'll convert to 10 afterwards, I think it'd probably be a 4.5 out of 5, which I
Yeah,
guess would
that would be enough.
yeah. I think out of 10, I would actually bump that up a little bit because there's more flexibility in a 10-point scale.
Yeah,
Probably say 9.5 because I think the only knock I have against it is, and this is like a minor thing, so it might even be a 10 for me, is that I think the way the movie is paced, which sounds ridiculous because of how short this movie is. It's how
86
long is it?
minutes.
Yeah, it's an hour and 23 minutes. But I think the pacing is a little off at points where it's okay, let's get to the B plot. Let's get to
Yeah, I know
what
what you mean.
like it just slows down at random points. And I don't know, it just mm, that didn't work for me.
I get that. It makes sense. All
But yeah,
right.
4.5 or 9.5 out of 10. And then you said what, 9.5?
Yeah, so we're about the same.
Yeah. Yes. And again, that is a small little nitpick. If a movie isn't paced right, I think for me, it really just brings it down for me.
That's fair.
Uh,
All
Um,
right, let's
with that
talk about the
said,
remake. This is what I've been waiting for.
so yeah, will you be watching? Again, that's the main question. Will you be watching the remake?
I have to see a trailer first. I cannot decide until I see a trailer.
Did you see the leaks?
Yeah, I'm not thrilled. My
Yeah,
big problem is that, and I talked to Austin before this started, was it just didn't feel like Snow White.
yeah,
It just it felt like we were watching different characters rather than Snow White. I compared it to the 2020 Mulan. Good movie, but still didn't have the Mulan elements. And it's looking like Snow White's gonna follow that.
yeah. And I just hope I now let me say I will be the first to say, um, I'm gonna watch this no matter what. If even if this is um um a train wreck, I'm still gonna see it because I don't know about you, but I always have an innate curiosity about when something is remade, what the changes are.
That makes sense.
Beauty and the Beast, the 2017 one, to recap, how did you like? How did you feel about the other remakes?
I there was three of them I think was great. The
Okay,
Cinderella
which
one,
ones?
which I feel like everyone forgets about, which they
Oh,
shouldn't.
I didn't see that. That's one I haven't
Yeah,
seen.
it's amazing. Trust me. I'll explain why I like all three after the Beauty and the Beast one, and the Little Mermaid one. What I like most about all three of them is they paid respect to the movie, but yet still had modern day flair to it. And I think that's where the Jungle Book, The Lion King, and Aladdin failed, is that they did too many changes to the story to the point it didn't feel like the original story, especially Mulan. But it's not like these movies were bad, but you have to respect the original movie too.
Yeah,
You can't just completely change it, throw the have the characters be the same name and call it a day. You still need to respect the original movie. And that's the one thing that worries me about Snow White is that it's not looking like it's going to respect the original movie.
Yeah, or at the very least, do what Little Mermaid did. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Okay.
That had the correct amount of movie, and yet still had more. Yet still had some modern day elements.
I
You saw, yeah.
I hated Little Mermaid, the remake, and not because of the reasons bandied about on the internet. It just felt like it was trying to be different for the sake of being different. Um,
I get that. I get that.
those updates for that were really good. I think they worked well, but I just think there was certain parts where I'm like, do I need a rapping bird? No. Do I need to see the nightmare fuel that is Flounder
Oh,
and
thanks for that
um
reminder.
Sebastian?
There's certain elements of it I did not like, but I feel like there's more good in that movie than bad, and that's what I'm looking for in a Disney remake.
Fair enough. I guess with me, obviously, I didn't like Little Mermaid. I didn't see Peter Pan and Wendy. Do you see that?
I completely forgot that movie existed till right now.
Wait, was that one of the ones that got delisted off of Disney Plus?
Probably.
I feel like it did.
But yeah, I completely forgot that movie existed till right this moment.
Yeah, it came out in April, but no, it's not. It's apparently still on there. I was thinking of Crater. That's what I was thinking of.
I'll, I'll,
Um,
I'll watch. I'll watch it before I get delisted because I never even. I totally forgot about it until right now.
yeah, and then there's Pinocchio from last year, which was
More Nightmare Fuel.
yeah, like I think it did the darker tones really well. But I think that's all it did very well.
Yeah,
Um, everything else was pure nightmare fuel, down to
I
the
agree.
animation, which I think was getting into problems going on with the VFX industry right now. But that's the topic for another time. I liked Cruella. Did you see that?
Oh, Koala's great. I forgot. I always forget that.
It's a remake, but not.
I'd say it's more of a prequel than I would say because we haven't
Yeah,
got to the Dalmatians yet in that movie. That's
yeah. I
why
guess
I didn't.
spoilers for the ending of that movie, but it ends where I think Dalmatians starts.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I really like that, especially the costume design. That was really good. Talked
Awesome.
about
Is what
Mulan.
I meant to. Yeah,
Lady and the Tramp was okay. It was.
that's
I think it.
I forgot
I
about.
think Lady and the Tramp could have been better if it wasn't a streaming. Didn't launch with Disney Plus
I know what you
because
mean.
yeah, it felt like a streaming movie.
Yeah, felt like that movie was made for streaming, and that's pretty much it.
I didn't see the most recent Maleficent, so I'm just gonna count that out. Lion
Yeah,
King, that was
yeah,
I think that and Jungle Book are tied with me with the worst of them. Um,
I would second that.
because yeah, I just don't. It felt like I was watching a Nat Geo documentary rather than what the movie was actually trying to remake.
They were too realistic.
Yeah, I don't- Simba is not reacting at all to anything that's going on around him. But hey,
Nope.
that soundtrack was a banger though.
Yeah, I will give credit for the soundtrack.
And speaking of that, Aladdin, really good. I actually really like that one. And those people are doing the music for Snow White. Let's see, what is it? What are their
Yeah,
names? Ben Pasek and Justin Paul are doing the music for Snow White.
the
So
soundtrack.
yeah, Dumbo is in the bottom tier for me. I don't think Christopher Robin
No,
counts. Do you count that?
no, because it's not really
Okay.
a live remake. It's not a remake of any specific Winnie the Pooh movie.
But yeah, I think it would
But
go
that was
like
really
Aladdin. Yeah, I think my Mount Rushmore of live action remakes would be for Disney would be Aladdin, Cruella, probably. What would I can't count Christopher Robin, so Beauty and the Beast, and then I don't know. I would put Mulan up there. It wasn't like offensive bad. It was just like it tried to do something new, and that's I think where a lot of the Disney live action remakes land. It wasn't terrible,
yeah.
unless you're talking about Pinocchio or not Lion King. Yeah, Lion King,
Jungle.
and Jungle Book, which I walked out of the first time I saw it in theaters.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, but I did end up catching the rest of it, unfortunately. But with that, what do you want to talk about with the remake, other than just kind of where you think it'll
I
land for
don't.
you?
I don't think I'm gonna like it. Again, I need a trailer. I
Okay.
think I know I saw the pictures. I know the pictures are out, but until I have a feeling of how the movie's gonna go, I don't want to say I'm gonna see it or not. Because I was skeptical about the Little Mermaid. The second I saw the trailer, I was sold on it, and
Yeah,
I
and for
wasn't
those,
skeptical about the because of Holly Bailey. It was because of the wonderful fish elements that was thrown in the movie that scared me.
yeah, and I probably need to review Little Mermaid. But the other thing for me with Little Mermaid, for me, was it was way too dark in that ocean. I I had to move to my TV. Yes, I'm one of those who watches everything on his monitor, but I don't know. I don't know what was going on there, but it was so dark I couldn't see anything.
I know why they did that. It was to be more realistic ocean, but I don't think that translates well on screen. Like when you hear the idea of, oh, we're gonna treat it dark like the ocean, you think, oh, that makes sense. That sounds great. But when you see it in practice, you're like, no.
I think Wakanda Forever did really good with that, because
Yeah. But the difference with
everything. Go ahead.
but the difference with Wakanda Forever is it wasn't trying to be a realistic country, if you know what I mean. Like it was
Yeah,
just trying to
I know
be
what you mean.
its own world. Like
I
with
get
the
that.
Little Mermaid, they're trying to be the actual ocean.
Yeah, and I think they should have looked at Aquaman, funnily enough, for the underwater scenes, because I think that did it really well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But anyways, and I guess to catch people up on what the remake is and why we're against it, I should probably give some background. So let's see. It's gonna be let's see. This is gonna be like Little Mermaid was, and based on the fairy tale rather than the Disney movie. Because for those who don't know, Snow White was a Brothers Grimm tale that was published in 1812. So it's going to be taking more of
Hmm.
those elements while still being a musical fantasy film. Stars Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen. And let's see, Greta Gerwig wrote this screenplay, which is interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would have loved a universe in which she directed Barbie and this, but you can pick. You only pick one.
she chose Barbie.
Um,
She chose Barbie is the better choice.
but instead, who's directing this is Mark Webb from the Amazing Spider-Man movies and a ton of other movies. I think he did. He do 500 Days of Summer.
I think so. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and as far as I can tell here from the cast list, the only returning character is Grumpy. Oh, and the Huntsman. But yeah, that's and a few weeks ago, not a few weeks ago, what was it, a few months ago that the leak happened, where around
Yeah,
D23 recently, where we got first looks at like the costume design, and let me talk about that first. So, have you watched?
Some of yeah, I'm behind. I did not see the last episode, so don't spoil it.
No,
But I've
I'm just going to
I've
be
seen
talking
the
about
last two.
character design.
Oh, and yes, I definitely have.
A lot of people's criticism with Ahsoka and a lot of these animated movies that have been translated into live action, not just Disney live action remakes, but certain Star Wars characters in live action, certain other characters in other. My mind's blanking right now, but there's this tend to over exaggerate things while also trying to make them realistic looking. I mean, hopefully, future me edits the photos right here. So future me, you know what to do. But yeah, it's not a good look. Literally, it just it's that thing of you're trying to adapt animated character to live action without realizing, hey, that shade of yellow is way too bright for a camera, and yeah, just everything looks too bright. It just looks oversaturated. And then I think the evil queen's headdress is like black, everything black and purple, which is
Yeah, they did think about that. They made the costumes without thinking about the lighting.
yeah. So it's like
That's what it sounds.
either yeah. So maybe I hope the color grading, somebody is color grading it to clean it down. Uh, but uh, but yeah, yeah, I'm not excited. Um, I just I don't know. It might end up surprising me, but I don't know. It ain't for me. But
That makes sense.
I also think that kind of ties into I think some of the thing I'm bumping up against with the remake and especially with my memory of the 1937 film with this remake is I think I'm slowly like starting to realize, especially with Mulan, I realize this is that I don't think I'm necessarily the target audience anymore, or the people who have seen the 1937 movie aren't the target audience for this anymore. All I hope from Mark Webb, if he's not listening, I don't think you are, don't go Amazing Spider Man with it. Go 500 Days of Summer with it. I haven't seen that film, but I've seen footage of the film, and I like that vibe for Snow White. What would you think? What advice would you have to give?
Respect the original movie. I'm not saying you have to copy it word for word, but you have to respect the original movie.
Word for word, bar for bar?
But you need to respect it and not just completely ignore it and do what you want because people remember the 1939, 1937, excuse me, the 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You need to respect that and know that's what people are not like expecting but wanting to see more of going into the movie.
Yeah, and don't do the thing of Little Mermaid where it's like, oh, here's a ode to the original movie. Where in Little Mermaid, hey, I've got this little dingle hopper thing, and the voice actress for the 90s animated movie gives it to her, and I'm like, okay, that's a little much.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but that would be my advice as well. Just respect it. And as far as the writing goes, I would say respect that screenplay as well, because I have a feeling there's a specific reason. I don't know. I feel like screenplays get rewritten on set all the time, and I hope that doesn't happen here because I don't know. I feel like Greta Gerwig is pretty. Uh, Now that said, Greta Gerwig's not the only credit on there. Aaron Cressida Wilson is also on there. But yeah, just respect the writing too. Maybe yeah. And then for I guess the music, I would say since you made really good songs for Aladdin 2019, follow that same exact formula, but without the.
Agreed.
But you don't need. I I will say this as a musical theater fan. Listen up. I don't need. I don't need an I want song. I don't need it. I
I agree.
the Jasmine I want song is probably the worst part of that movie of Aladdin 2019. The other original music in that movie is fantastic, and I hope with whatever Guy Ritchie does with whatever he's doing with Aladdin, I don't know what he's doing with that. I don't know if he's making Return to Jafar or Return of Jafar, or there's some King Anders spinoff in the works. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Aladdin, but yeah, just follow the same vibe of the original. Was Snow White a musical originally? I don't think so.
No,
That's going to be interesting. So it's going to be all original,
I
I
think
think.
so.
Then I guess my No I Want song, because I don't need it, but just look at what Stephen Sondheim does. I know that's a typical thing, or maybe look at Tick Boom or stuff like that. Follow those kind of cultural influences without the I Want song. And, but don't get, I, all right, listen up. If I hear a single Lin Manuel Miranda lyric, if I hear even one line, one stanza, I'm gonna lose it in the theater. I look, I loved Hamilton. Okay, I didn't love it. I can't even think. I can't even feign that. It was okay. My Hamilton was okay. Okay, Moana hit was his peak,
Yeah.
but I don't. I better not hear Lin Manuel Miranda in any of this. If I get if Grumpy starts rapping, I'm gonna lose it. I'm not. Uh, anyways, that's my rant. But yeah, I think I'm very interested to see. Going back to the 1937 film, I'll be very interested to see how that restoration looks because I remember with the 2016 Signature Collection, there's a lot of transfer issues with that because I think it was the first time it was available on Blu-ray.
It was.
I think the lines looked really off. I don't know how else to say that. It's just the lines looked like the line thickness was off. It, it's like the line thickness was doubled. Looking at oh gosh, looking at the yeah, looking at this restoration comparison. Now it's only the original and the restored version that they're comparing on the Disney Plus site, but I can already see oh, okay, I'm looking at it and it looks like they removed the grain entirely from the
Mm.
image, but the shadow work is intact and more defined. I'll be interested to see what this looks like on Disney Plus with all the
Same.
compression that it's likely doing and things like that because this is going to be the first time it's available in 4K. I think with HDR and Dolby Vision and all the accoutrement you expect from 4K. So that'll be interesting. I might even break out my 4K TV for that, just like I did with Avatar: The Way of Water when that released on Blu-ray, which is reference quality material. For those who haven't like watched the digital version, it's like pretty much a one-to-one transfer. Anyways, yeah, I'll be interested to see that. Are you gonna check out the restoration when it comes out on the 16th?
I don't know right on the 16th, but I definitely will check it out.
Yeah, I feel like there's something coming out that day that might prevent it. Let me check.
It's a
All right.
Monday.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that day that's particularly pressing. I'm looking, and the only thing that week is Talk to Me comes out digitally. Oh, the Hellboy game comes out on the 18th.
Ooh.
And then, yeah, then Gen V Episode 6 on the 20th, along with a bunch of video games. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out on Monday. I, I still need to check out Loki, this week's episode. I can't tell if it aired yet. Probably did, but I'm going to be checking out that, Gen V. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty slow week next week, so I'll definitely check it out. Yeah,
Before we
I'll be
wrap,
interested.
yeah, before we wrap up, I did an interesting experiment.
Okay.
So when you asked what was my first Disney anime movie I watched, I actually tweeted that question out to see what some people would say.
Hmm.
What's interesting is everybody had a different answer.
Interesting.
Little Mermaid, Hercules, Lady and the Tramp 2, the second one specifically,
Scamp's Adventure? Really?
Cinderella, I'm serious. Cinderella, Aristocats, Lion King, and Aladdin.
Interesting. That's
But it was so
but
interesting to see everyone had a different answer.
all right. The person whose first movie was Scamp's Adventure. This is your invitation to come on the podcast and explain yourself. I That is so wild to me. Maybe the person that tweeted that is Gen Z, and
I don't know.
just that was just coming out because I knew that come out in 2006, somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like that.
Back when Disney was doing pumping out a lot of direct to DVD sequels. Which, fun fact, there was a lot of the Toy Story movies you haven't seen were going to be direct to DVD. Like Toy Story 2 was going to be about Andy going to his grandma's house. Toy Story 3 was going to be about Buzz being recalled and shipped to Taiwan.
Oh, I would have hated both of them.
I actually really would have loved that Toy Story 3, but it would have been too dark. Um,
Exactly.
there was Buzz Lightyear Star Command, The Adventure Begins. That wasn't canceled. That was just like what they were coming out with at the time. But yeah, I actually highly recommend a lot of people go and check out those direct to DVD ones, especially Aladdin 2 and 3. Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people sleep on those two, and or maybe even Lion King 1.5, because that was really cool. Wait, anyways, I want to talk to you, Lion Scamp's Adventure person. I Send me a DM, and I will make it my priority to have you on the podcast to talk about Scamp's Adventure, because what in the world?
I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna send you that person's tweet like right now.
Okay.
So
It reminds me of that person who went to a gaming convention and said their first video game was Lego Star Wars 2 on the Xbox 360. And I was like, oh no, I'm getting old, aren't I? But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people's first video game is probably Minecraft. So, anyways, let's see. With that said, let's get into what's happening over the next week, since we were already talking about it a little bit. Okay, so I will have after this, probably by the time this podcast publishes, I'll have podcast for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. I'm recording that tomorrow.
nice.
I'm recording a Barbie spoiler discussion with Elise, who I recorded the main discussion with next Wednesday, and then on next Friday, a Fair Play podcast episode. So that's all happening within the next week. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how those turn out. So I hope you all check those out, whether you're listening or watching. I'll also have a lot of interviews coming out. I just recorded one with Andy Valentine of the Mattachine Family, which is premiering at New Fest 35. Probably by the time this is up, it'll already be out and premiered at New Fest. So with that said, Thank you all for listening or watching to the Austin B Media podcast. I've been your host, Austin Belzer. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. I guess you could do that. You can also follow me on social media at Austin B Media, everywhere except Twitter, where it is at Austin B Media underscore. Because, like I've said every time I've mentioned this, I've been trying to get that at Austin B Media Twitter account for literally months, and the at Austin B Media account is suspended because they were impersonating me, but I still don't have access. But with that said, where can people find you online, Matthew?
People can find me pretty much everywhere under Matthew Anzalone. My YouTube channel is also Matthew Anzalone. Check it out. I have more Golden Globes coverage. I'm also did a video with Kyle Arwing on the interesting DC and Marvel news that just came out recently. That will probably
Which
be
one's
up
that?
tomorrow. We talked about the DC recasting everyone, as well as the
Got it.
Marvel TV news and them trying to get their stuff together, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I'm also gonna have a video next Wednesday on Disney Night on Dance with the Stars, so check that out too. Austin and I will be doing a live stream on the 28th, which is
Hmm.
current Golden Globe predictions, and we'll all be in costume for that, so you definitely don't want to miss that.
Yeah. Fun fact: you people have already seen my costume, so I'll just leave it at that. But with that said, I'll have all those links in the description for you, whether you're on YouTube, podcast player, wherever, and yeah, article too. But thanks again. I'll see you all next time on the Austin B Media podcast. Thanks, everyone.